Welcome to Nashville. This is known as the home of the board gamer?
No, it's not. It just happens to have one of our
country
friends.
music. Close enough.
Yes.
I was almost there. Today we're going to take you on a tour around the city. We're stopping by every place you could find on Google that claimed any relation to board gaming?
Yes, basically.
Okay. Great. So we've done our research, and that means you're going to benefit from it. We're going to tell you the highs, the lows, whether or not they greet us at the door, and if they have any board games worth visiting or stopping by for. So with that,
let's get started on
we
the
should
first
start
one.
a vlog?
Yes.
All right. That was a cool transition, but you're not going to see it because you're just going to leave this part in where I'm like, oh, this is a cool transition. But you will see this one.
I was reaching for the hugs.
So the first place that we are going to is actually where we're going to meet Austin, who is our friend from Ivy Studios, and he's going to accompany us on this vlog. The first place is Game Point, which is a board game cafe, and Austin said we had to stop by and see this, even though it's technically not a board game store. So it's quasi on our list, but it has a lot to do with board games. It's a really cool place. So let's head inside and check it out.
Did she wear her mythic mischief? There we are. Just a little bit of advertising.
I'm great at this.
Introduce yourself. This is the first time people.
Hello, I'm Austin Harrison. I work at a little studio called IV, and I live in Nashville, which is why I'm on this vlog, because this vlog is, I think, about basically retail stores for board games in Nashville. So Jesse was nice enough to invite me to come hang out, and this is my favorite little store. This is Game Point. It is a coffee shop, board game cafe, but also has some games for sale, which is always cool. This place was hit really hard by a tornado right before the pandemic, and then literally had the pandemic following that up. And so I'm super happy that they have stayed in business and love coming here to play games and eat food, drink coffee, and buy stuff.
He said they lost their entire collection during that tornado, which is
rough.
insane because they've started to rebuild now. So instead of the whole wall covered, you have probably, I don't know, a couple hundred games over for people to try out. And on top of that, we have a nice little store. The other cool thing Austin has told me is that this place starts as like a daily cafe.
Yeah, no one in here is playing games right now.
No one's playing games. They're working, they're grabbing coffee, and honestly, the coffee was delicious.
That was great.
Food
was
was solid.
Oh yeah, it's incredible.
But then after like mid-afternoon towards evening, it turns into a gaming community. So people are being exposed to board gaming just because they want good coffee, which I think is the perfect combination.
Yeah.
Cool. So, Austin's premier store, the place you said you wanted us to meet, which means it's the first place people are seeing on here. We have our hierarchy. We have our 4 points that we'll discuss in just a second. But go ahead and tell people why this is sort of your go-to from what you've seen so far.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of places you haven't discovered.
Yeah, I mean, maybe my list will change by the end of the day, which is exciting. I love this place because I love that it is a crossover place. There are a lot of people that come here that don't know anything about board games and see a bunch of games on the wall and might try it sometime, right? It's approachable. I can get my wife to come here anytime because it's a coffee shop, right?
Yep.
Like that's an easy place to come to. And then
You bring the whole family.
Yeah, and then they are just the owner loves board games, and they often can order games that I want. I don't have to necessarily just be what's in stock here, but they'll even send emails out and be like, hey, we're placing a big order for this. If you want in on that, let us know. And so I actually had a game waiting for me behind the counter when I got here.
Nice.
And so those things just make it one of my favorite places to go.
All right, Shira, we've got our 4 points. First and foremost, welcoming.
It's a coffee shop, so as welcoming as they can be, it's not necessarily a store, but when you walk up to the counter, they're really nice and friendly, and like, we're really helpful. We have some dietary restrictions, and so I was asking them questions, and they showed me what was in the ingredients, and were really great to work with.
Yeah, I'd say we judge welcoming differently when it's not just a board game store. So our standard for board game stores is if we're not greeted when we walk in the door, unless there's like chaos at the front desk and they're overwhelmed, they kind of get a ding for that.
Yeah.
Although when you have a mix, like something that's a little bit more hobbyist, or something that is, for instance in this case, a working coffee shop that also happens to have board games, I'd say the atmosphere was pleasant, the people were welcoming when I interacted with them, but no one went out of their way to like greet us or show us around. Even when we're standing around looking at the board game store portion itself, there wasn't anyone there to guide us through. So don't expect that if you come. But outside of that, there's a bird just chirping.
The one thing I would say is that the people behind the counter don't necessarily know much about the board games.
Yes.
So
yeah, it did seem like there was 2 different segments there.
And I wonder if the second shift people are the board game people.
Yeah, because we're here for the first shift.
Like, I literally have had people teach me a game that were like baristas before.
But see, that's interesting, because from my interaction with them so far, the first shift don't seem to understand board game at all. They're just there working the coffee shop, man.
So it might be an excellent place to go play games, but not necessarily learn a game if you don't know it yourself yet.
Yeah.
So game selection, Austin, you're a little bit more of a consumer side of this, because you produce board games, but you don't play hundreds and hundreds.
I don't play hundreds. I play tens.
Yeah. So what's your experience when it comes to the selection they have here?
As far as like what there's available to play, it's great. I love coming and just looking through all the games and doing it. As far as buying, I mean, everything you can play here, you can't buy here. And so I would say the selection is not good for that. But I also love coming and seeing what they do have in stock.
I like that they are available, that they offer the capability of ordering and getting it for you. I think that is really great.
It's interesting. Their play side of things was much more family friendly. Their play side of things was much more new to the hobby, like get in. Whereas there was definitely
Terraforming Mars.
But
Dominion
I still
was there.
I consider those on just the outer edge of getting deep into the hobby. Whereas they had like Eclipse Second Dawn available which had a big retail push.
Terraforming Mars is
it's old enough.
Okay.
It's old enough. So from my side of things, I think you could walk someone into the hobby perfectly fine throughout their game selection, and there's a lot of great games to pick up and go home. It's not like the Nerd Forge like heavy miniatures or anything like that, but
there are no miniatures.
It does board games really well. Cleanliness.
It was mostly cleanly. The floors were a little bit dusty, but I think it's a coffee shop. I'm pretty sure they clean up every night, and like it just gets worn. They've been open for a while now. I think it was really decent. The bathrooms were great.
I was gonna say the bathroom was a lot of fun. Lots of art on the walls.
They had a sign that says, "Please don't flush away like sanitary products, puppies and kittens, and your hopes and dreams." And I found that really funny.
The board games were also organized really well, which I like. Which I'll give them a props for that. And then the last thing,
the board games were organized by how heavy they were. So they had whether it was a strategy game, whether it was a family game, whether it was a party game, and then whether it was light, medium, or heavyweight, which I really enjoyed seeing because there were some things there that I was like, oh, this is a heavy game. I'm into the heavy game genre. I'll have to like check it up later on.
And then the last thing is going to be room for community.
Yes, I think it does that very well. There's a
lot of space.
They have both a lot of space indoors and a lot of space outdoors that you can play the games. It's fabulous. All the tables are suited with cup holders on the corners that you can place your drinks, and then it's a big square table that would fit most square boards, not necessarily all rectangle boards. I think it's great that it has so much playable space, and that's not something we see in all the stores that we review.
Cool. Well, let's head on to the next one. Okay, we've made it to Opry Mills, which is apparently the largest mall in Nashville.
It's pretty big.
We're curious to see what it looks like, though, because malls got hit.
Yeah, I haven't been in here in 3 years.
Hasn't been here for 3 years. So we're going to go find the game store inside. I honestly am skeptical of game stores inside of malls.
Yeah.
I'm curious, but if this one's even slightly impressive, I will be I'll be super impressed.
I think we'll find Catan.
We'll at least find Catan. Catan. Probably 16 versions of Monopoly, but that might be unfair. That might be an unfair judgment that I have based on, well, nothing, I suppose, just based on malls in general. All right, let's go take a look. You wanna explain what you just did?
Well, I just navigated to the mall. I thought I was navigating to the store, and I parked on the opposite side of like a mile-long store. So we're going back to the cars.
Okay, back outside. Great trip. Fantastic. So, I don't know why they do internal malls if, I think it's for actually, I think I know why. It's for like the 70-years that like to walk a mile.
The grandmas that do the morning walking.
Yeah, which, I mean, honestly, great morning activity,
Lots of shopping to do.
No, they don't even shop. They just walk around and people walk, Shira.
I know.
It's like a thing that you'd be into. It's about 15 minutes of driving later. We passed like 5 entrances on the way. We are now entering the mall.
We did miss out on the Rainforest Cafe.
But there's not such a cool sign here. Like over there it had like the Opry Mills sign.
As far as we can tell, we've made it.
We've arrived.
Shira?
Yeah, apparently it's not open anymore. It was like a stand-up pop-up shop in the middle of the mall.
That's our theory. That's our theory.
I mean, I looked it up. It said it's a seasonal place that pops up in the malls.
Okay.
So yeah.
Google says it's open.
It does say it's open, and we are standing right here at Go Calendars, Toys and Games.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which does sound like a pop-up store, to be fair. So let's go ahead and go through our list, right? Friendliness.
No one's here, so.
No one's here. Cleanliness.
It's very clean.
It's actually remarkably, like, I would eat off of this, certainly.
Yep.
Space for playing games.
None.
There's some really nice recliners right there.
The massage chairs, you can play a card
Yeah.
game, but not necessarily a tabletop game.
And selection overall.
Meh.
Meh overall.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it's honestly not the worst selection that I've seen.
Well, not as much Monopoly as we thought.
That is true. My skepticism around mall game stores, though,
Has been.
remains intact. Let's go to the next one.
And we are at the Gamekeep, and it is too windy outside.
There's a sign up there.
There is a sign up there. The Gamekeep. So it is too windy. So we are gonna head in and give you some more feedback on once we get inside.
All right, so it seems it's mostly split up into two main areas. You got the hobby, board gaming, strategy gaming section, and then you've got like RPG and miniature games and painting back there. I've been really excited to see some games that I didn't know were at retail yet. Like I didn't know the Battle of Five Armies was already out, a War of the Ring game, kind of spiritual successor. Yeah, overall, like really, really great selection, and yeah, I'm looking for a few games. We'll see if I find them, but it's a really cool store. I'm really liking how they've laid things out. You can kind of see it. I mean, there's like Fantasy Flight, and they've laid things out by some of the bigger names in the industry and organized it really well. So I'm really liking it. They've also got some really cool terrain stuff.
We popped into Gamekeep here kind of on a Monday afternoon, a little slower. Now, they have just came under new management, which is one thing that we have to keep in mind as we talk about this. It seems like one of the families, the mother, father, and daughter now run the store that originally were part of the community here. They used to host like the RPG nights and really kind of invested in the space. And when the previous owner was on the edge of retirement due to some health issues and then also a combination of the pandemic hitting things hard, they purchased and inherited and have continued on this legacy. And the most important thing she said to me when we were chatting was that they inherited a really great community, which I think is cool. And in a moment, we're going to be able to show you where they've been able to invest in that. First impressions, thoughts so far?
It's really nice. Calming, peaceful music in the background, cleanly, organized, has a decent selection both of miniature-based games and of like regular board games. And so, yeah.
And like always, we're usually going to leave, when we come to a good store, we want to support retail a little bit. So I think we're going to pick up Railroad Ink Yellow because you've never played Railroad Ink, right?
I have not. This looks like a good game we can start playing on the road.
It's a good on-the-road game, absolutely. Okay, let's go talk more. Okay, so we're actually sitting in their game room space at the moment, which isn't active, but that's also because it's the middle of the day on a Monday.
Some people have things called work. It's weird to us.
This is his work, and this is our work, as far as I'm aware. Let's go ahead and go through the conversation points. Let's talk about the store and our first impressions of it. I cannot remember the name of this store.
The Gamekeep.
Gamekeep, which is at what part of Nashville are we in right now?
Like Donaldson, like east of town, basically.
Okay, so starting with the first point that we always discuss is going to be welcoming. How welcoming were they?
Great. She said hello within the first moment we walked in the door.
Yep.
The bell rings, and someone's sitting right at the front and ready to answer any questions. And she was helpful. She engaged when you were checking out as well.
Yeah, she did. She was very kind. I always give props when someone immediately within moments of them noticing that you're around, make sure to say hello. And she was right on the bat, right there immediately. Immediately felt like the environment here is very nice. And one thing that she talked about, which I've already mentioned a little bit, is that the family that now owns the GameKeep, is a family that was part of the community to start with. So my assumption is they probably already have relationships with most of the people walking through the door, and they're ready to make relationships with everyone else who shows up. So be encouraged because of that. Are we doing scales of 5s? Like, I don't think we ever did scales.
Yeah.
Game selection. Let's talk about game selection.
They have a really decent game selection, both heavyweight intro games, roll and writes, and then most typical game stores have the D&D role-play RPG style.
Which she doesn't like, but I really like.
Yes, because you don't get them played, though.
No, I think there's a great scale of like intro all the way up to super advanced on both sections, on both sides, on the RPG side and the board game side.
Super niche RPGs. Like I was like, man, this is like some deep cut selections here that I hadn't seen before. So.
I do think they're doing a big transition right now between the old management with a little bit more older stuff that had been on the shelf to what they're doing now. I'd love to see this in about 6 months after they've started curating their collection. One thing that I'd like to see from the store is a more curated special edition section, which is something that I could definitely see them going down. There were some indie style RPGs out there that I liked a lot that I would personally love to pick up if I ever got them to the table. But the board game side was a lot more familiar retail with a few side products, and I think that could be a little bit more specific as time goes on.
Yeah, I would agree. I think the games that I saw here from a board game selection are all games that I could find other places, whereas the RPG was a little bit more specialized.
A little bit more specialized. Cleanliness.
It's great. Very clean, organized, not dusty, doesn't feel very gloomy on the inside. There's lots of natural light, both natural and artificial.
Yeah. It definitely seems like they're in the process of making it cooler. I've been here within the last couple of years when we were trying to paint Veiled Fate minis, and it has improved tenfold since then, and I think they're only going to continue that. Because like the carpets in there are like older and stuff.
You can see where they've inherited the property, and you can also, in this space, see where they've already done some renovations. Yeah. So mid-transition right now.
The walls look really nice and clean and fresh. There's a really cool chair over here. Even these like columns that are in the middle, it looks like they've put like stone around the bases of them. It's nice.
Yeah, you can tell that it's being curated. I would say it doesn't feel as clean and organized and open in the main game space as some other stores that I've been to. It's basically on the it's kind of what I expect from a newer family-owned board game store. But I do see them improving on that across the board, and I'm excited to see where it goes. It's another one of those, because they're in mid-transition.
Yep.
I think they're gonna do really well. Definitely opening and inviting. And then room for community is the last category.
Definitely. I mean, look at these tables back here.
There's 6 of them. That's a lot.
There's 6 of them. And it looks like they can each seat up to 8 players. So these are...
Oh, you could have 2 games easily on each of these tables.
Or massive games like 4Es or RPGs. Yeah. It's got a lot of space to game.
It really does.
I wonder, is it always open for anyone to walk in?
Seems like it.
Yeah.
So if the doors are open, it's open. It seems.
I also have seen some signs where they're talking about hosting their own little community cons and organizing events. So I think, and the fact that they didn't renovate their retail space first.
Yeah,
right?
That's interesting.
They didn't. They renovated and put their initial money, the founding principle that they were going to do to change this store.
The place where people are going to play games.
Was the place where people were going to play games and interact, which means it's what they value. It's what's important to them. Overall, super impressed with the store. I'd love to see it when it's active.
Yeah.
And I'd love to see the community that actually comes here.
I'd like to see if they also get a selection of games that you don't have to bring your own in, but they would have a selection that you can play in the store.
I haven't seen a library. Yeah, that's a very good point. I wonder if a lot of people are bringing in their own titles. We'll ask the front desk on the way out. We'll check to see how people are oftentimes playing, because they have a dedicated playing space. I just don't know if it's walk-in friendly.
It's interesting, compared to our Florida store journey, this has a lot more board games, whereas Florida was a lot more living card games, which is just an interesting change I'm noticing in different cities as we are traveling.
Cool. Yeah.
What were you going to say?
I was going to say, as a local, if you haven't been here in a while, definitely come back, because it's changed completely since I've been here. So.
And we're gonna go play this, and then we'll be at the next store. I don't know why I did that transition. It's going to be hard to remember to bring the box.
And you've also used that transition already.
I have. I don't...
Hello. Jesse just handed me the camera, which happens a lot when I'm with Jesse, to be honest with you. It's fine. I love it. So I'm supposed to talk about what I learned, because the last time I was at the GameKeep was maybe a year and a half ago, and like Jesse already said, it was purchased since then, and I feel like that the change is a really great one, just because there's a lot of new energy, and also it seems like they're trying to bring in more board game audience. And I really hope that grows, that they grow a bigger library, because there's not a very big game library right there for just playing. They have a good selection of games, but Monday night seems to be the night to come check this place out if you're into board games rather than RPGs. RPGs and war games seem to be the other nights. Tuesdays and Thursdays, I think, was like Age of Sigmar and Warhammer. And then Wednesday and Saturday being, maybe Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday being more Starfinder and D&D and that sort of thing. But Monday night here at the GameKeep, it looks incredible. I'm definitely going to try to come up here. It's not super close to my house, but I think it'd be worth it to come up here and check out. And maybe bring some of our games to see if they want to have them in the library. So anyway, hope you check it out.
All right, let's talk about tabletops, hobbies, and what are you laughing at? My transition?
No, it's just
a good transition. Don't start with me. It is so windy right now, but yeah, tabletops, hobbies, and games. Nice sign on the outside.
Very nice
Decent
sign.
little area.
Little D20.
Yeah, decent little area. Lots of restaurants and stuff, which is good. So yeah, we'll go inside.
So this store is so much more up my alley. There are a lot of board games here. There's Carcassonne, there's Seven Wonders, Marvel Champions, Ticket to Ride, Pandemic, World of Warcraft, Catan, more Carcassonne, Unfathomable, Camel Up, Villainous, Wonderbook, Horrified, Meadow. Meadow is one of my favorite games. It's from an indie publisher, and you're just creating this gorgeous tableau in front of you and looking for animals who are going to eat other animals. They've got a really good selection. We found some stuff that we don't have yet and that we're really eager to try. Welcome to the Moon. It's the third one in the edition, and I'm excited it's a rolling right. I loved Welcome to the first one. The second one was meh, and the third one I'm looking forward. It's highly rated.
All of us.
Spending other people's money. I'm not allowed to spend my own money.
all of us are picking up some games. I'm getting some Marvel Champions stuff. I found the new edition of Welcome to. You're going home with
Roll for the Galaxy.
Roll for the Galaxy.
Possibly Vagrant Song.
Possibly.
Again, we don't just show up to try to harass stores. We actually try to give back. We try to support them a little bit. But the coolest thing, Austin, how excited was I when I discovered the thing that's on the other side of this counter?
Oh no, you're gonna do this now?
Oh yeah, we're 100%. So I come walking through. Yeah, go ahead and pick
I got challenged to Beyblade, which I don't think I've done since middle school.
Oh no, me either. Me either.
Oh, I'm gonna get one too.
I'm all about
it.
I don't know. We don't have like a
we don't
arena.
Have an arena.
Get out of here.
I don't have an arena.
Don't you start with me.
We're just gonna bowl?
Oh yeah. Yeah, we're just gonna do it. So we're gonna pick up some Beyblades, and at some point we're gonna have a Beyblade showdown in this vlog. I'm just saying. I've got to go with like straight yellow though, so my options are limited.
Yeah, you don't have a lot of options.
No, not a lot.
You got one.
I
got one option.
Too.
What's the transition?
No transition on this one. So tabletop, hobbies, and games. Yes, we are still sitting inside the stores because it's so windy outside. We figure we'll embrace the awkwardness of reviewing a store while we're in it.
Yep.
Also, because we don't
like awkwardness.
We do like awkwardness. Let's go ahead and talk about this store while I find my format. Welcoming is going to be the first category.
He was great. He welcomed us right when we walked in, and he was very informative about the other local game stores in the area. Told us some things that some of them are actually open that we'll be able to check out as well. And he was telling us a little bit about the community.
Yeah, I would say this is probably the most board game focused. Maybe not with the selection. Like they definitely have some exclusive stuff that's a little bit more rare. We'll talk about in a second, but. I think his knowledge when it comes to just the game hobby felt more secure than any of the other stores.
Yep, and the selection of like the D&D and the RPGs is a little less. It's still present, but it is less.
Yeah.
Game selection?
I was surprised to see Vagrant Song.
Very surprised to see Vagrant Song. We picked up
Welcome to the Moon.
Welcome to the Moon, which is the third one in the series, which I'm super excited about. They also have a selection of used games that you can buy secondhand, which is really cool to see. Those are like discounted. What else?
Yeah, used games, a rotating sales system where he has different labels and different games, so his collection's not sitting around for ages upon ages. The games are going to be moving out of the store, and he's buying a little bit more select, a little bit more rare. Even talked to him a little bit about how you can like put together a media package for retail stores and how people would actually utilize that. I think it's not a super deep curated collection. That being said, nothing here in the Nashville area so far has been super deep or curated, so this will be the best opportunity for me to find some games so far that I might not be aware of yet.
Yeah, I think we both did that at some point.
You were
just
also super excited to find Beyblades.
Yeah, but he's getting rid of those. That's not an advertisement for the store. We helped him clear his stock a little bit, and we're gonna go do some real world Beyblades. Cleanliness.
Great.
Pretty good.
Seems like the
Carpet could be vacuumed a little bit, but
I think like newer, as far as like this side of stores, it feels the newest out of the ones we've been in.
Yeah, the game place, like the gameplay space, is nice. It's not. It is more like fold out tables and areas. It definitely doesn't feel dirty or grungy at all. The back room where there is some extra like D&D and RPG type stuff is probably the least loved.
Yep.
Our light just completely transformed too.
I tried to move my hat back to actually.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what happened, but that's the wrong direction for sure. I mean that'll do something. So, from my sense of things, it's sort of a hybrid. It's definitely not dirty or grungy. It's open and inviting. And then if you're here for RPGs or more like Warhammer type stuff, you're not as curated.
You're living in your imagination anyway, though.
Yeah.
What do you need a fancy place for?
And room for community. Now, not only does he have various different game nights and different activities, but also, we're sitting in
a table.
Oh,
the lighting switched again.
Yeah, it did. That's why I'm now maneuvering the camera. Let's try this. Let's go. Everyone lean in.
Oh, my face is way too close to that.
I'll close this up. Yeah, Shira, pop out of here. So, room for community. I'd probably say enough room for maybe about 30 active players here, which is good for a solid game night. It is not necessarily any larger or smaller than the other spaces. Mm-hmm. Gaming is definitely a featured thing at a lot of the places we've been to. I would say the Board Game Cafe so far has had the best space.
Yeah, and the most selection.
And the most selection. I also don't see a used game library, which is another thing that we've seen in common around here, is oftentimes there's space available for players, but not as much of a library for you to select from.
Yeah, Game Point's definitely the place to go for that, but other places have much better selection.
Yeah, so that'll be this video, and we've got another store to go to. You could be way more excited than that. You guys are just lame.
Oh, I didn't realize you were recording.
So lame. Oh my gosh.
It's taped.
Yeah, this is epic.
Oh no, I ripped my box.
Yeah, isn't that the point?
I mean, getting it open, yeah. I'm glad he told us that these are the ones that have the rippers on. That would have been embarrassing if we bought them without
That would have been
rippers.
very funny.
Do you have your knife on you?
No. You just grabbed for us. You want to introduce yourself?
Hey guys, my name's Josh here. I'm the owner at Tabletops, Hobbies, and Games here in Nashville, Tennessee.
I don't even know what color mine is.
Had this great group come by, checking out some Beyblades here. So,
all right.
Let's see what happens.
Shira, Austin, we're doing the official first Quackalope battle.
I'm purple and pink. You're what? Gold and red.
Yellow, blue, gold, red. Ready?
Ready, set, go. They're not fighting.
You guys gotta fight each other.
Uh-oh.
Who is that?
I lost, I believe.
Oh, good. As it should be.
Absolutely crazy being
Because
in
it's
a
a rubber
cardboard
tip.
box.
Yeah.
That one lasted longer.
Is the
Also,
goal to stay alive spinning the longest?
there's a little bit of box damage.
Box damage.
All right, I got to work on my spinning skills
Are
here.
you going again?
Yeah, I think best out of 3, right?
Those are vicious.
I mean, we're going to win again.
Well, I mean, probably. Here we go. Ready, set, go. Well then.
Best 2 out of 3? How do you feel?
Bad. I feel pretty
still
bad.
spinning.
That one was way worse.
I still spin. Go, dude.
Honestly, the Beyblade battle was a little embarrassing for him. We're hopefully going to have a rematch or two. Beyblades are fun.
I am still the victor. Unmatched.
Yeah, remarkably fun.
Undefeated.
Although we're not committed. We're not getting a bowl yet. We're not that hardcore Beyblade yet.
We might later on. I like my Beyblade.
Let us know. Do you want a Beyblade channel? Either way, we're going to swing over to a store that just started opening up.
On Mondays. It was one that we thought we weren't going to get to. It's called the Game Cave. And
We've
I'm
got
super excited.
3 more stores to show you, which I'm sure you know because at the beginning of the video we talk about all the stuff we discover. So let's go. Our next stop on this Nashville tour is the Game Cave, which is the store that we thought we were going to miss because it just now started opening up back on Mondays, and we're doing this whole exploration on Mondays. So far the stores have been nice, welcoming, nothing too like hidden or grungy. And I gotta be honest, this one's in a pretty nice area of town. They've got hanging globe lights. Like, that's fancy. No, not that. The stuff behind him. That's fancy.
A big bowling alley, actually. What the heck?
I think Austin, you just discovered a secret bowling alley.
Yeah, I've never been here before.
That's big news, man. That's exciting. We're hanging out here in the Game Cave, big open gaming area, a little bit more of a limited selection when it comes to board games, but they do have apparently a really healthy and active Magic community, and then also a whole mix of like Warhammer and various different war games. So overall, really spacious, really clean. I actually really like the environment of this. Giant open windows. This is the type of spot that I would feel comfortable coming and sitting down and playing some games. Or some Magic, even though I'm not allowed to get involved with Magic because it is fantastic, an amazing card game, and also highly, highly collectible and addictive. So I'll stick with what I know. You guys want to get in this? Anywhere? Yeah, you're in all of this. This is the review side of things. So we just popped out of the Game Cave. Cool store. Let's go ahead and start going through our format here.
Welcoming. He was really nice. He said hi to us when we walked in. He was very conversive and knowledgeable about. This store is aimed more towards like Warhammer and living card games as opposed to board games.
Primarily, he said kind of a Magic the Gathering community. Now, he was answering his phone the entire time there, and I even saw him interrupt the conversation with me and with Austin in order to make sure he's engaged with every person that's walked through the store. So while he was focused on us, he was also pausing conversations to say hello to people. So really great. It's what I expect out of a board game store, honestly.
Game selection. The game selection,
I thought it was all right. It's definitely not as big as the other ones.
it's not as big as the other ones.
Yeah.
It's not as heavy. It was a lot more lightweight, medium weight intro gaming stuff to get into.
The only one with Acquisitions Incorporated, Clank, though. So I was looking for it, and it's the only place I found it. So I do agree with you, but that was my caveat.
So my gut check on this would be, you can find games here, but you're not going to find a curated collection. You're not really going to find a lot of stuff that you couldn't find other places.
Yeah.
Like Clank is available, Amazon
it's
style.
available. I noticed it was mostly a few different publishers.
I noticed they had a lot of yellow, they had a lot of blue-orange, a
Mix
lot
of Renegade.
Simon and Pandasaurus. Those were kind of their main.
So they're probably going through a distributor that's sending them kind of like packages, right, that are working with specific publishers. Not a big collection. Honestly, if you're coming here, it really isn't going to be for the board game buying. You're going to come here for Magic, you're going to come here for Warhammer, you're going to come here for the community, which is coming up soon.
Yes.
Cleanliness.
Cleanliness.
All right.
You're good. Aesthetic. Come on back.
Aesthetically, it was my favorite store. They had really low shelving, and there was lots of light. And as far as cleanliness goes, I think it was a very new feeling store.
Oh yeah, clean, accessible, really, really lovely. Almost all the light inside of it was just daylight. We're standing in this massive hallway right here that's just outside of their space.
Yeah.
I think I would agree that so far this, as far as the environment goes, has been the best for me.
Do you like the low shelving? I kind of like higher shelving at eye level.
I mean, it's impossible to have a lot of games in that store because of the low shelving.
Right.
But I was like, oh, it feels like I'm in a record store or something. Like, I kind of liked it.
Interesting. I didn't think about that. And then room for community. I definitely think, you can even pan. They've got these really big tables.
Here's the fascinating thing for me, and I'm going to switch sides here just because my arm's getting tired. The fascinating thing for me in a lot of these board game stores so far in Nashville is they haven't focused on an actual library of games.
Yeah.
Instead, they focused on about a similar size, about 30 people comfortably sitting in an open space, being able to sit down and play, which curates to, Magic, if we're going to be honest. Like, that is a Magic game table night. It is open, it is inviting, but I can't imagine having a real crowded space playing games that they brought themselves.
But he also did mention that he's starting to open up Monday nights for actual board gaming.
Yeah.
And it seems to be a common theme in this area that Monday nights are for board games, which is really cool. Today happens to be Monday.
Yeah, it's true.
But he seems to be open to it, and hopefully the community will continue to grow.
Gut check is it's probably not going to be at the top of the list for any of the categories other than the environment specifically, but if you're a Magic player or someone that's looking into getting into Magic and you also have a crossover with board gaming, it's great. And if you live close by, I'd see no reason why you wouldn't choose to make this one of your stops or one of your homes, because it really is a really welcoming environment.
It also happens to be a bowling alley right across. That's really
and
cool.
honestly, the more people that come, the more he starts focusing on board games. So keep that in mind as well. So we're at the Riverdale Mall, which last mall. It
Riverdale.
I don't think it even matters. Is it Riverdale or Rivergate?
It's Rivergate.
Rivergate. Well, you know what they say about gates? They're all full of dales. Either way, we're at the mall, and the last mall worked so well for us that this one is got to be not a letdown. Definitely.
The other mall's cooler. I can tell you that.
The other mall is cooler, but this one might have a board game store.
This one might.
An actual one.
This might not even be updated depending on how long it's been there.
So Austin, just gut check on how alive this mall is.
Life support.
Yeah, we're close to death. This store is really confusing both of us. There's stuff here, like a one-off expansion for Bloodborne, that feels specific.
Yeah,
feels curated.
someone back that.
Yeah, it seems like mixed in with
Mass market, just general retail.
And none of it feels organized or structured or like there's a system for me to see anything on the shelf.
You got Cubitos next to checkers.
Oh yeah, there we are.
I guess it's alphabetical, but no, Scooby-Doo. Oh, Clue Scooby-Doo. Okay, yeah, it's alphabetical maybe, but also.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so that's how they organize.
That's a way to do it.
That is a way to do it.
It's a way to do it.
I was going to do
A's is B's down here.
No, this
You're
is
thinking
A's.
You're thinking it's all alphabetical?
Yeah, I was going to do our shelves at home alphabetical, and Jesse said that's a bad idea.
It's a terrible idea.
So
I'm
this
glad you didn't do that.
A's, B's.
Honestly, one of the
That's why
it's
Zombicide is all the way down there.
It's
yeah,
one of the
okay.
worst ideas.
All right. Apparently, it creates for a very confusing experience.
Zombicide's hidden in the back. There's so many Calyxes. It's like 10 or 20 grand in Calyx.
Here's my theory. Someone really liked backing stuff and had a basement full of Calyxes. And they said to themselves, you know what I should do? I should make a store.
I think you've nailed it.
And then other people that have never played board games before said, we'll help with that.
We'll buy a bunch of board games.
We'll
for you.
organize it for you and keep the stock going.
Yeah.
That's my thought.
So this store's a little confusing for me. I've been in malls where they have these board game stores that have like Dixit and Villainous and Codenames and all the versions of that. And then they have a bunch of like Funko models. But they're usually better organized than this one. This one, they organized it in a really backwards way. They organized it alphabetically, which when I was thinking about doing that in the beginning for our personal collection, it seemed like a great idea. And now that I see it in practice, I am horrified. It doesn't allow you to see a game that you like and then look next to it and look around it for games that are similar in style or similar in theme and then grow and cultivate and begin diving into new games. It's weird how it's organized, and the selection's also very, very small. They have a lot of expansions for these big games, but none of the base games. How are you going to get into an expansion without having the base game?
So we are in a mall that has the telltale signs of going out of business.
Yeah.
A closed Sears, a few shuttered stores on a Monday, and a church that is renting out space.
Lots of space.
It's about the classic way you can tell that things are shutting down. But we also just got out of the next level games, which we discovered has an affiliate space that had about 300 chairs worth of...
Yeah, it was a lot of space.
For playing living card games like Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! And all of these other living card games.
So let's talk about it. Let's talk about this place. First and foremost, we want to talk about welcoming.
They didn't acknowledge our presence, for me at least.
The one guy did, at the back, after we'd been in the store for like 15 minutes.
So my gut check is it's a large store with a lot of people that probably aren't the owners. And I think owners have a bigger incentive to acknowledge people immediately, but they also set the culture and the context for the environment, right? And there definitely wasn't a immediate greet, and there definitely was free staff members who didn't bother to go out of their way to say hello and welcome and ask if we had any questions. So not a major ding. It wasn't an unwelcoming environment, but it definitely didn't invite me in, right? From there, I forget my list.
Cleanliness, community, and
I've got it here. So let's talk about
selection.
the game selection.
Yeah, so we had a little segment on that already.
We've had multiple segments on that. It is organized alphabetically.
Yeah.
Lots of expansions for base games that don't exist.
They're not there.
Oh my
and
gosh.
the selection is so sparse. They have so much calyxes. Like, I would have to take some of these calyxes home.
There's like 50
but
calyxes in there.
Okay.
But they're
And they
not
have one
utilizing
game in
the
each
space.
slot. Like
Yeah.
one barely game in
So,
each slot.
so it seems like someone is a passionate board gamer who backs a bunch of things and then sticks them here on the retail shelves, mixed
Yeah.
with someone who just has a like Fantasy Flight Games, send me everything you produce type of package.
Yeah.
You're getting Rick and Morty the board game. You're getting Godzilla Jenga mixed in with like an expansion for 5 players for Blood Rage.
Blood Rage,
or
but no Blood Rage
or
base
Blood-
game.
no Blood Rage base game.
Or Black Rose Wars. Or
Yeah, there was a lot of Black Rose Wars. That was like the only
yeah.
thing.
It was so confusing, and on top of that, the way that you'll see it in the B-roll, the way stuff is set up, everything occupies one shelf, with one game per one shelf.
Yeah.
On top of that, you can walk through the aisles and walk into the store without realizing they sell board games at all.
Until you get to like 3 aisles deep.
It is a horrible way to share, display, and encourage people to pick up games.
Now, Jesse actually said something to me that I was like, this is actually a really easy way for them to improve it, is you can't really see over the calyxes or really make any sense of it anyway. Just put a few bigger titles just
Yeah.
up on top of the calyxes,
Yeah.
and that would have been a totally different experience for us.
It would have been, because you already aren't able to look across.
Yeah.
So being able to eye level, see what you want, and organize it based off of weight or color or something other than alphabetical. Because alphabetical works for the people stocking the shelves.
Nothing else.
And no one else at all.
Yeah.
Really actually decent game selection. Like if you
Yeah.
wanted to come and hunt through the shelves, you might be able to find some stuff that you're excited about. Like
Yeah.
Blood
Yep.
Rage 5 player, cool, why not? I mean, that, or
Yeah,
like the
they already have the
Bloodborne,
base game.
it's
Yeah.
probably a little bit more of a niche product.
Yeah.
However, I'm not coming here as a consumer to pick up anything.
Yeah, I think if we were into like TCGs, this would be the place to come out of all the places we went, just from like a selection. I mean, there's a lot in there.
As far as a selection, possibly, I still am going to divert back to the last store when it comes to like
community
a
and-
Magic
yeah.
community. Now, granted, there may be a big community here, and I think that's fantastic if there is. It's just hard to see as someone who's a visitor.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
that
on
would
a
be-
Monday.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that would be indicative of those tables. They probably host
Yeah.
like game
If they're
nights in
filling
the
that up.
evening. Yeah, that'd be neat.
Yeah, if
That's a lot
they
of people.
are, there's a big Yu-Gi-Oh! Magic. Like I see Yu-Gi-Oh! Signs on the side here. I see Magic, signs on the side here.
Yep.
And there's a chance this might be your only hub in this area for Yu-Gi-Oh! Pokemon Magic. And where in Nashville are we?
We're north of Nashville. right
So
now.
this could be the place to go,
Yeah.
North Nashville, if you're looking for Magic Community, because the other place is a 30-minute drive down the road.
Yeah, and they're also more board game centered than these
Yeah.
card game centered.
Yeah.
Cleanliness. Store's very clean. I'll give them points for that.
Yeah.
Clean with the context that we've already talked about. It feels cluttered.
Yeah.
It isn't cluttered, but because of the calyxes and because of how constricting it is, it feels cluttered.
The last thing I think we talk about is community.
It's hard for us to judge if they
Yeah.
fill up that room
It
over
is.
there, which is
Yeah.
like totally separate section of the mall. Might be connected in the back. If they fill that up, they have like a 400-person community.
They have a couple tables in the back that I saw
Yeah,
some people
that
playing.
were playing,
That
yeah.
people were playing during the daytime. But it is in the middle of the day.
If you're up here in this area, I would stop by. If I was going to come back here to Next Level Games, I would not come to shop. I would not come to pick up anything. I would come on a night when there's a Magic the Gathering
Yeah.
happening, because that's the question for me, and that's what should decide it for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if we had like actually talked to someone or engaged in like a conversation, we might have found out like, oh hey, there's a board game night, but like just no one looked like they would have that kind of
But in
So-
comparison to some of the stores down in Florida where they have these massive calendars on the walls that tells
yeah.
you when the events are, doesn't seem accessible. You have to probably go online
you'd
and
have to-
find when you have to hunt.
If you're an introvert, which luckily
Most of
you're
us are.
not, yeah,
I'm not when I need to be.
yeah, sure. I'm not either.
Yeah.
But like, if you're an introvert, there's no way you'd find out there's even
Yeah.
that space because there's nothing advertising that there's a space even over there.
It's interesting. Like, one of the things that I do that bit us in the butt when we did the Florida trip is if a store doesn't engage with me, and I'll walk around like a lost customer for however long, I usually don't choose to directly engage with them. Part of
Yeah.
that is because it really is my personality. Before I started Quackalope, I remember walking into a game store in Kentucky on a game night where people are sitting around playing tables. I walked in, around the tables, slowly, looked at shelves, stopped by a few people playing, and then walked straight back out of the store because not a single person talked to me. It's just how I operate in these environments. So I don't treat it any differently than I normally would.
I would be a person at the table not talking to you.
That's
I'm sorry.
Probably true. It's probably true.
It depends on how close to winning and how like engaged I am.
I don't blame anyone for that being the case.
Yeah.
Other than
the
general culture of the store. Right. So great. So that's going to be our coverage here, and I think we have one more.
It's a comic book store.
It's a comic book store.
I think we have one more. A comic book store. I like comic books. Fantastic. All right. I think time to check out the last place on our stop, which is Comic City 2. Cheryl, why are you doing comics instead of board games?
Because they said they had board games inside.
Okay. Well, we've had a lot of luck with cool comic stores. Like, it's kind of a cross-section of our community, and I have been purchasing and writing personal notes to Shira in comics, which this might be a subtle hint to her that she wants more of those.
He hasn't done it since our last trip, and I've been.
That is true. That is accurate. Austin?
He left his car open for some reason?
He left his car open.
Yeah.
You should probably close the car next time.
We all stopped to
bite
get
a cookie.
We all stopped to get some snacks along the way here.
There's a handwritten sign that says board games.
Are you?
Good sign.
Ooh, I love a handwritten sign that says board games. Oh, we're gonna film that in a second. Do you like comics?
No.
No, not at all.
I don't have like a hate for
Wow,
comics.
hot take coming from Ivy Studios' official stance.
The only comics that I personally own are Star Wars comics.
All right, so this right here.
Oh, it's not handwritten. Dang it!
But it is hanging on a magic sign. Board games. That's what we're here for. I think. Let's see. Let's find out. One of the cool things with Comic City 2 here that we have not seen at any other store around the Nashville area is a game library. Now, you will have to ask the front desk because they're just now getting public game sessions back up and running. They put everything on hold during the shutdown, but behind me here are games that are available for you to actually get to the table, sit down, and play, which, again, is really exciting for me. It's a curated collection. It's a massive library of games that you can hang out with and test out, and it's something that no one else has had so far. So yeah, that's big news. What is it?
It'd be the coolest 18XX ever.
Have you seen Ginkgopolis?
I'm really sad it's not an 18XX
Galaxy
now.
Tracker. Gloomhaven Forgotten Circles.
Sure, first impressions.
I'm impressed. I was skeptical because it says Comic City 2, and online they're like, oh, this is the best place in the neighborhood to get board games. And I was like, really? I haven't had much luck, but I'm impressed right now. Also, Ryan Lockett, Islebound, what's this? We don't have it. Why don't we have it?
Got check, Austin?
There's a mirror here, and I thought it was another rack of games.
You thought you had a twin
It's
foil
not. No,
here?
it's just a mirror. I like it. I mean, they have probably the most
Year of
games.
the Dragon.
You think so? I think it's the most games in Nashville, which is surprising because it's a comic store.
They have Memoir.
The collection here, like they said a little bit earlier, is fantastic. I mean, honestly, I'm having fun just walking around, like, browsing the shelves. They have not a lot of depth when it comes to, like, they don't have, like, 7 of the same game, but instead, they have a ton of different options, a ton of different versions, and they're organized very well. Like, I can see everything. I'm having fun. It's well lit in this section, so honestly, I'm talking myself out of buying, like, 7 or 8 different things. So this is going well.
Same.
Okay, so we just got out of
Comics 2.
Comic City 2.
Comics City 2.
Right.
It's right outside. Now, it's windy outside, and we didn't want to film this in there. So we're in the back of Austin's car. Thank you so much for loaning us the back of your car.
You're welcome.
Let's go through our hierarchy. Let's go through our thought. First off is going to be how welcoming was the store.
They said hello to me right when I walked in. I know they said hello to you a couple minutes after you.
I'm going to give them a slight ding. It took about 5 minutes, and they were always engaged with someone or something, but never engaged with everyone or everything.
Yeah. They seem a little introverted, a little geeky, but good. They're
par for the course.
Par for the course, and very talkative once they got to know you, and were very knowledgeable.
This is definitely the most geeky kind of nerd culture space, which I feel comfortable in.
Yeah.
But not everyone does. Not everyone does or would. And it doesn't help that when we first walked in, we definitely didn't get a immediate welcome. Good to see you. Let us know if you need anything. Yeah. Which is fine. Like I'm not upset by it. It's more traditional. It's more traditional game store. Second category. Collection.
They have a massive collection, and it's well curated. There's so many little nooks and crannies that you find games that you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize they had this. Every time you walk up and down the aisles, you're finding something new.
And not only that, but I asked for a specific game, and even though they didn't have it, it was a pretty rare game, and he knew right away that he didn't have it.
He not only knows his collection, knows the games, has a really well-curated collection, great game collection, too, to just get off the table and play. You do have to ask for it. It's in a back room, a little bit hidden, and that's because the pandemic shut all that down for a while, which is understandable, and they're taking time to get it back up and running. But the amount of games they have, I would say, from what we've seen so far, best collection in Nashville for shopping hobby.
Yeah.
And
it's funny because it's a comic book store. It doesn't have games or anything in the title.
It's got Warhammer, it's got miniatures, it's got skirmish, it's got RPG, it's got comics, it's got basically nerd culture. Yeah. This is your place to go. Yeah. And they say they have a good Magic community and everything like that as well. So going down to cleanliness.
It was nice. Well kept.
It was an older store.
It's an older store that you can tell, like, they haven't cleaned the corners every other month, right? Like, they don't have a cleaning crew, and it looks like the people that run the store have kept it running, which means it looks like an older store. It looks like an older house. It looks like dust is built up in areas and things have been forgotten about.
Still, it's very well lit. It's easy to find.
It is well lit. It doesn't feel dirty or feel cluttered.
No, it didn't feel dirty.
But it also didn't feel polished, right? It didn't feel like an Apple store. It felt like an
older bookstore.
Yeah.
That's kind of like a corner bookstore that you go to find cool books. You might have to blow a little bit of dust off the cover of one, but it's nice.
It's Walgreens, not Apple. Yeah.
No. I don't know if I'd go so far as Walgreens.
Get off me. Maybe I like Walgreens. I don't know. You don't know me.
Maybe.
Last section we have is
community and places to play.
Game place, yeah, right? Isn't that... We don't have 5 categories.
No, community, like place to play.
Community's the...
Community. I have no idea what their community is, but in terms of places to play, they have the only available library of games that we found in Nashville, with the caveat they don't really have...
Cafe. The cafe has a library.
Yes, fair enough. They don't really have play space-ish. Their play space is sort of...
tables that are kind of scattered among their showroom area.
And they're definitely more in the center of things for demoing or setting up war games. I wouldn't call it an inviting environment to play, and I do wish that was maybe curated a little bit better. I'd love to see a corner of their store with 1 or 2 tables and their library set up to invite people.
Yeah.
That being said, that might not be where they make their money, so it's a big thing to ask to take footprint, in real estate when that's not the thing that you do.
I also wonder if they might just have to deal with people sitting down and reading comics when that's definitely not what that space is for.
For sure.
Yeah.
Lots of questions. Overall, really impressed with the caveat that this is going to be the nerdiest store you're coming across, which means it also has the best selection, but it also has some of the caveats that come with that.
Yeah.
It's a little bit less inviting. It's a little bit, it's a little bit more dingy. It's a little bit older, but the guys know their stuff, and I'm very super impressed with this store.
Yeah.
So, all right, shall we head on to the Parthenon?
Parthenon.
Did you know there's a Parthenon, like a full recreation here in
this place we're living in?
In Nashville?
We didn't know that. We didn't know that. Now we do. Made out of styrofoam originally.
Yes.
Weird. If there's anything Tennessee,
styrofoam.
It's that.
Styrofoam Greek massive building.
Yeah. Okay, we have made it to the
Pantheon?
Parthenon, like in middle of Tennessee. Okay.
Yeah, we're in Greece.
We're not even gonna address this. Let's talk about the experience of the day. We went to, I believe, 7 different gaming stores.
6 different gaming stores.
7 if you include the one in the mall that didn't exist.
Didn't exist, yeah. Okay.
So
that counts.
Overall thoughts on... Well, first off, you live here.
I live here.
Overall thoughts on the board game space in Nashville.
I have a much better opinion of it after today. I'm really glad you guys came and taught me that I have some cool stores here, because the last time I was at the GameKeep, it was not very welcoming and it was really old, and they didn't have a great selection of games. And not only did that improve, but I found some stores that I liked even more than that one. So
cool.
Yeah.
I do think my favorite of the bunch is going to be the first one we started at.
Oh yeah, the Game Point.
Really?
I don't think
the cafe.
The cafe.
I don't think he's wrong. The cafe, especially if you don't have any dietary restrictions, the cafe is awesome because the food looks delicious. The coffee was amazing. They've got a fantastic game library, which a lot of people, it seems, don't. And they have some games that you can pick up that are a little bit more curated, a little bit more specific. Honestly.
And they will also order what you want.
Yeah, honestly, it's probably one of the best deals you can get. But looking outside of that to the wider hobby space here in Tennessee, my takeaways are, it seems like there's a good community here. There isn't a lot of neck-deep hobbyists. Really, the last place we went, which was the comic shop,
Comic City 2.
happens to be the most curated, in-depth board game community and collection that we have.
I like that one that was Hobbies. Tabletop, Hobbies, and Games, I believe.
And they'd only been in business for like 2 years, I think.
Yeah. He was really nice and friendly over there, but that was where we got the Beyblades. That was a lot of fun.
That's where we got the Beyblades. So, all right. So thinking through new gamers, experienced gamers, and so like new gamers, hobbyists. Where would you recommend for new gamers if they were going to go to like one store to get introduced to this place?
Game Point, because you can go there for zero investment. You don't have to convince anyone to spend money. You just go there and you play games. You find something that you like, and then you pick that up there if they have it, or on Amazon or another game store if they don't have it.
And you get food. I can't disagree with you.
They also serve alcohol after a certain time. So like if you go late at night, it switches from coffee to beer. So
thinking, same for you, Shira?
Probably. My only downside is that I don't know second shift, but for first shift couldn't tell you what board game to recommend from a hole in the wall. Honestly.
Nor did they seem excited about games at all.
Yeah, and so that would be my only hesitation.
Might be a first shift, second shift thing.
I mean, so I don't know second shift at all, but if there's people on second shift who actually know the games and can tell you, oh, this is a really great intro game, oh, this is a great medium weight game, even though they do label it all, and then they can get you up and running, that would be best for me. Besides for that, I would actually recommend Comic City 2.
For new gamers?
He knows his stuff, and he has a library in the back that if you wanted to try a game before you buy it, kind of see what the genre is, but you have to be more outspoken. That's the only thing.
Comic City 2 is going to be my pick for hobbyist gamers. It's going to be my pick for nerd culture, but I think little old me just getting into this industry, I'm not going to Comic City 2 and walking away with a actual game experience.
Yeah.
I think for me, it's gonna have to be the place where we got the Beyblades, which is called
Tabletop Hobby and Games.
I don't have the list on me.
I'll look it up.
My phone's in the car.
So I think it's
games. Tabletop Hobbies and Games.
Tabletop Hobbies and Games will be my pick for like new gamers if you're not going to the cafe one.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, but either way, I think that's a video.
Yeah.
There's wind picking up. We're gonna go check out the Parthenon.
Parthenon, maybe do a baby bladder on the Parthenon steps.
That seems like a good
I don't know. I mean, possibly. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being here, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.